wild Himalayan flower of Holi festival and religious rituals as well as wedding ceremonies in Uttarakhand. The flower is fondly named as Lali Guransh in Uttarakhand, whereas this flowering tree stands honored as the state tree of Uttarakhand, whereas the state flower of Uttarakhand is Brahma Kamal, Sasuria obobolata, but state tree is Rhododendron arboreum, the botanical identity of the flower Lali Guransh. This is the state flower of Nagaland, and in fact one of the tallest tree of Rhododendron arboreum, Lali Guransh, has found its inclusion in the Guinness Book of World Records. The tree was measured in 1993 in the Jafu mountain near Kohima. That is the tallest rhododendron in the world. So tallest rhododendron in the world is our Rhododendron arboreum, which we find even in Jammu Hills, in Dudu Basantgarh, Kia Kentha Kalonta, Belawar Chew Bani area. The flower is fondly named as Chew. But if we visit Sujandhar Trikuta Hills, then another local name comes to our knowledge, and that is Madaal. In Darhal, Dera Ki Gali, Bofliaj, Punch, Rajouri area, the flowers has another Pahadi name, Hardul. The tree is named as Hardulli and flower is known as Hardul. And even in the mountain near Shivkhodi at Sangad, I was told another local name as Ikkargul. But the flower has the ancient Sanskrit name as Kurvak. The flower is unique in having the bell-shaped corolla. In fact, if you see, this is the tube bell-shaped corolla, because only this portion is edible, and this is developed into various beverages, maybe tea, maybe sharbat, jam, jelly, even syrup, and lot of reverence in Uttarakhand folklore, folk songs. It is sung, its beauty is matchless. It is the harbinger of spring season, and also the flowering tree that signifies the present day climate change, as its usual flowering time is March to May. But since last decade, over the last 10 years, the flowering tree Rhododendron arboreum, Lali Guransh, Borans, Chew, Madal, Hardul has started flowering even in last week of January. In fact, I was told by Keval Parihar from Bani Hills that on the Republic Day, that is 26th January, he saw the rhododendron flowering in that area, Bani area. And even in Uttarakhand, some locations, the flowering has started in January itself. It means early warming of spring, less severe winter or shortening of winter, and early shift of spring season. For this, the scientists are studying these rhododendrons, especially the rhododendron arboreum, to study its phenology and link it with warming of the spring season or climate change. So this is also an indicator tree that signifies what is happening in our environment and how we need to arrest this warming of the planet or global warming. This particular tree, though it is wild, but it is one of the most spectacular and stunning, beautiful ornamental tree in our oak forests. Its other associates are Simplocas paniculata. Locally we call Lodra. Sometimes it is also found in the cheat pine forest, Pines roxburghi. But usually the tree is associate of Quercus oblongata or Quercus leucotrichophora, bunch, and Lionia ovalifolia, which we call as allan or rattan cot in Rajori. Also arman, it is poisonous. And when we talk about the poisonous Ericaceae family to which the rhododendron belongs, allan or arman, Lionia ovalifolia or rattan cot is deadly poisonous tree. Even cattle or sheep go down to graze that tree leaf. But even the leaves of rhododendrons, they are considered toxic and they are not foraged by the cattle. And most of these species, they are toxic, especially those which fall in the category of azalea, which have the 5 stamens. In true rhododendron, in our this rhododendron arboreum, Laligorange, there are 10 stamens. But there are some rhododendrons which are included in Hymenanthe subgenus and also sometimes named as azalea. They have toxic pollen grains, and the honey bees, if collect the pollen of azaleas and some of the rhododendron like rhododendron campanulatum, which we are familiar as sarangad or in our Jammu hills, then honey is named as mad honey, toxic honey, and it is advised not to consume that honey where honeybees have added the pollen of rhododendrons. The toxic phytochemicals analyzed by the scientists in the mad honey obtained from rhododendron flowers is andromedotoxin as well as granotoxin, which causes nausea, dizziness, stomach upsets if consumed. So this rhododendron arboreum or Laligorange is the only Himalayan species which is edible, and its petals also find inclusion as the holy color. Holi is approaching, and these flower corollas stands harvested to develop as the holy color for the coming Holi as part of Basanto Utsav or Madno Utsav. Globally, there are 1000 species, and some scientists also include subspecies, and then its number goes up to 1200. But many scientists say there are about 800 well-known species under the genus Rhododendron. The word has been coined from the Greek origin. In Greek, the rhodon means rose and dendron means tree. So this particular flowering tree, Chew Rhododendron arboreum, is also known as the Himalayan wild rose, but not to be confused with rose flowers, which we are familiar where petals are free. And in fact, that rose comes under roses, another group of plants as per Angiosperm phylogeny group, whereas this rhododendron though it is called commonly as Himalayan rose tree, is not rose. It does not fall under the category of rosids. Rather, this plant flower tree comes in the category of asterids. Asterids means where we have the fused corolla, as you see in this case of bell-shaped corolla. All petals are fused, they are not separate. But in case of true rose, we see the petals are separate. They can be counted. Even we can count the petals, but here we have to presume they are 5, and 5 petals stands fused in the form of a bell-shaped. So it is called as a campanulate corolla. But they are one unit. So this is the example of asterids, and under asterids there are many order, and one order is Ericales, and under the Ericales the family Ericaceae for this lolly Gorange, also named as Borans. This is the national flower of Nepal, and previously this was also the state tree of Himachal Pradesh, rather state flower, but now they have shifted to another rhododendron species, that is Rhododendron campanulatum, a Neeluchimal, which we call Sarangad in Dogari. So that is the state flower of Himachal Pradesh. In case of Sikkim, there is another rhododendron, that is Rhododendron niveum, which stands honored as the state flower of Sikkim. In Sikkim, there are about 36 taxa, but if we include Arunachal Pradesh, then in India we find 110 taxa, 80 species. Even under Rhododendron arboreum, we have 4 subspecies. Rhododendron arboreum variety or subspecies Nilgiricum, found in Ooty, Kodaikanal. Rhododendron arboreum variety arboreum is found in our area. Then Rhododendron arboreum variety or subspecies Delavai is having the red flowers, is found in the northeastern hills. And one more. This Rhododendron arboreum is considered the tallest rhododendron, but on the other side, the smallest rhododendron is Rhododendron cespitosum, which is barely or hardly 4 inches tall. So there are some tropical rhododendrons, and they grow as epiphytic orchids, the way orchids grow on other trees. So there are some rhododendrons found in Southeast Asia, especially New Guinea, near Australia, and they are named as Viraya, and they are epiphytic. There are many rhododendrons even in North America. For example, state flower is Rhododendron maxima. In Washington state, there is another rhododendron, Rhododendron macrophyllum. There are many rhododendron species which grow as shrubs. Azalea have many horticultural cultivars, and usually they are included in landscaping, gardening to beautify our parks and gardens. There are many unique species found in Japan, China, Korea, and in Japan there are azalea festivals, there are rhododendron festivals, when the blooming of these flowers starts. So this particular flower chew is brewed as a herbal tea. You see the color of the chew ki chai, Burans ki chai. No lemon, nothing, simply petals were boiled. And you see the natural color, which is similar to the petal color. So this fascinating Decoction is very useful for heart health. It boosts immunity. It improves digestion. It helps even in the inflammation, in curing the inflammation. It is rich in antioxidants. It has vitamin C. It is rich in iron. So it's very useful for blood-related problems. This is useful even for respiratory troubles. So as I told, we have honey also. There is a mention that this is also useful for honey making by the honeybees. But as I told you, most of the rhododendron species, they are toxic, and the honey is not that favored by the scientists. And it is told maybe some kind of some visits by honeybees to even rhododendron flowers, there may be some kind of contamination. But that contamination, if it's very low, then it's okay. But if it goes extraordinary high, then definitely it can be fatal. But there have been reports of mad honey found in some locations in Turkey, where honeybees were forcefully fed on the azalea flowers. So to get that kind of mad honey or toxic honey, some doses may be prescribed even to cure some kind of ailments, but that is something one need to avoid. Rhododendron species are mostly evergreen, this particular species, but there are deciduous also. So mostly azaleas, now included in the genus rhododendron, they can be evergreen as well as deciduous. But the distinguishing feature between azalea and rhododendron is number of stamens. Number of stamens 10, then it's rhododendron. Number of stamens 5, then it is azalea. Rhododendrons have very rich folklore in Jammu hills. While visiting and interacting with the village elders in Bilawar Sukrala temple area, I got to have one folktale kind of local belief when Rama and Lakshmana, they were searching Sita. They also happened to pass through the forest where the rhododendron was blooming. It was having fragrance also at that time. But since Rama asked the tree, rhododendron, to can provide any clue about Sita, who stands abducted. And then, as per the local belief, as per the village faith and this folk tale, this tree, in arrogance, replied, "This is my spring season. I am in my splendor, the beauty and fragrance. So I am lost in my own beauty and fragrance, so I couldn't see who passed by." And somehow this arrogance was cursed. As per story goes, says Rama or maybe Lakshmana, because Rama is considered very pious and kind-hearted, but since this tree blundered in exhibiting arrogance, so it got a curse. You lose your beauty as well as fragrance. But after the tree realized its mistake and begged pardon, then Rama restored the half curse. The tree, you get your all beauty and color, but half curse will not be reversed. That is, you will always remain scentless, fragranceless, सुगंध नहीं होगी. ये हमेशा याद दिलाएगी यो भूल हुई, यो एरोगेंस हुई. और ये दंत कथा reflects how our local people, Dogras, Jammuites, they also have long association with this tree. The tree Rhododendron arboreum, in fact, was discovered by the Captain Hardwicke in Jammu and Kashmir in the year 1776, before Joseph Dalton Hooker had the diversity of rhododendrons from the Darjeeling and Sikkim Himalayas. He wrote that, or he came across many other rhododendrons much later, somewhere in 1850s. But the work of Dalton Hooker, J.D. Hooker, was mesmerizing, and that created interest in Europe for the cultivation of rhododendrons. The center of rhododendron origin, center of diversity, is considered northeastern Himalayas. So we have many species and many endemics. And in fact, in Sikkim, there have been the establishment of many rhododendron wildlife sanctuaries. And I think we have the Dera Ki Gali ecotourism huts, and Forest Department of Jammu and Kashmir also need to include the rhododendron arboreum in its nursery operations. So if we are able to provide saplings and seedlings, either it can be raised through cuttings as well as ear layering. If we provide those saplings and seedlings to the people and include this rhododendron arboreum or lali, guransh or burans, chew, madal, hardul in our afforestation program, then definitely this tree can serve the purpose of eco-restoration, that is the restoration of the forest degraded system, as well as this tree can be connected or revived to the old folklore, rich culture. Festival of Holi can be celebrated by using the colors either from Tesu, Butia Manosperma, Gulal in the Kandi belt of Jammu, but in the hills you don't have the Butia Manosperma, Palash, Dhak. So definitely Burans is the alternative. But we need to plant rhododendron arboreum on a large scale in degraded temperate hill slopes. So Forest Department need to start the rhododendron nursery at the earliest. And this tree need to be grown in such locations where pH is less, that is 4-5. Acidic soils are recommended for its better. And it also has the obligate mycorrhizal associations. So motility is also high. And it is not that easy to propagate, but definitely the scientists need to undertake its multiplication through stem cuttings. And this tree is recommended for afforestation and for the beauty. Not only that, even during COVID crisis, it was told by the scientists of Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi, as well as International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, Delhi, that the extract of chew burans petals is useful in arresting the replication of coronavirus 19. Coronavirus has some kind of hindrance in its replication if we consume the beverages like this one, the tea or sharbat or syrup prepared from the petals of this edible rhododendron, national flower of Nepal, and the beauty of Himalayas. The spring season, this flower need to be promoted by the tourism department, by the forest department, by the rural development. But exploitation from the wild need to be sustainable, and large-scale commercial utilization of resource need to be regulated. And if we are really interested in propagating and adding beauty to our landscape in Jammu and Kashmir, we need to include this rhododendron arboreum, chew, burans, lali guransh in the afforestation program, and forest department need to prioritize this taxa for raising in the forest nurseries in locations like Dudubasantagad, Bani Lohi Malahar, Darhal, Punch, Rajouri, Sojandhar, Riasi, Trikota Hills, Pancheri, Landar, and let us impart education regarding such trees which are environmental indicators, ecological indicators, or climate change indicators on one hand, and on the other hand, they stand revered by the Himalayan people, as we find Uttarakhandi people, they offer these flowers to the local deities, especially on the day of Fool Day, which is celebrated in the mid-March. And this flower is also considered medicinal and useful as a edible Himalayan rose tree. Among so many species, only this rhododendron arboreum is edible, and petals of other rhododendrons like Rhododendron campanulatum sarangad should be avoided as they are highly toxic. So proper identification and proper consultation with the experts is must if you want to consume a rhododendron species. And this rhododendron arboreum tea sharbat is useful for heart, immunity, digestion, and blood related ailments.